The paradox we are about to explore is called the paradox of the circular argument. It is a quiet puzzle that spins gently on itself, like a whispered conversation that never finds an answer. Imagine logic folding back in on its own steps, a grand circle with no door out. This paradox is a dance of ideas chasing their own shadows, a whispered secret hidden behind confident words. It reminds us that sometimes what sounds like certainty is merely the echo of the claim itself, endlessly reverberating with no ground beneath. In this silent loop, truth and belief become tangled threads, and clarity drifts just beyond reach, like mist dissolving in the early dawn. Philosophers have wrestled with such circles for centuries, finding them both enchanting and frustrating. They unveil the fragile dance between reason and assumption, where every step forward feels like stepping back again. Circularity can feel like a warm cloak, wrapping ideas in familiar certainty, yet also a trap, where questioning gives way to repetition. It invites us to look deeper beneath the surface, to wonder where knowledge truly begins and ends. In the quiet spaces between thought and proof, this paradox quietly pulses, a subtle reminder that sometimes the journey of argument blurs into a spiraling maze without a clear exit. Eli is a young debater with a sharp mind and a confident voice that fills the silent room like a striking candle flame. At a regional tournament, his words flow smoothly and swiftly, weaving logic with ease. But then, a simple question from a judge halts his rhythm. "Why do you believe what you just said is true?" Eli answers with certainty, because it's logical. Yet each answer circles back to itself, a delicate spiral that tightens unseen. In that moment, the confident debater feels the gentle walls close in, the seamless path turning inward. Eli stands at the edge of a quiet puzzle, where certainty folds back into mystery. After the tournament, Eli returns to his small, dimly lit room where shadows stretch and curl like silent questions. His journal lies open, faint candlelight dancing on its pages. As he reviews his arguments, every confident phrase, every obviously and, of course, begins to unravel. He wonders whom these assertions truly persuade, and by what measure they stand tall. Familiarity has disguised itself as truth, and the roots of his convictions feel less solid than before. In this solitude, Eli confronts the tender vulnerability in his own certainty, the profound ache of realizing that some of his strongest beliefs are woven from threads circling back endlessly to themselves. The paradox unfolds as Eli grapples with the invisible loops hidden within every claim he made. Like climbing a ladder that folds into its own rungs, he moves but remains in the same place. Each confident assertion echoes only itself, creating a maze where the entrance and exit are the same. This realization is a soft shiver, a quiet challenge that shakes the foundation of all he thought was stable. The circular argument, so artfully dressed in logic, shows its true face, a mirror reflecting only itself, an unbroken loop of reasoning that never truly begins nor ends. The paradox does not reside only in dusty books or formal debates. It breathes in everyday words. It lingers when someone says, "I have always been right," or "It's fair because fairness demands it." These phrases slip into comfortable routines, unnoticed circles that soothe without questioning. Eli discovers this subtle danger. When belief depends solely on its own echo, truth dissolves into illusion. The heart of the matter reveals itself one quiet evening. How often do we passively accept ideas because they feel familiar, because they have no challenger? The circle spins silently, gathering all certainty into a gentle but impenetrable fog. But the paradox holds a softer complexity. Not every circle betrays us. Some loops underpin meaning without collapsing it. We cannot untangle logic without logic, nor language without language's repeating dance. Consciousness shimmering upon itself is another circle we inhabit inevitably. Eli contemplates these delicate webs where ideas support and sustain one another, creating a mesh rather than a trap. The difference lies in how they hold each other, whether they build bridges reaching outward or merely lean inward, folding back without new ground. In this quiet reflection, he senses the paradox is less a failure than a threshold between clarity and mystery. As Eli grows in thought, his image multiplies in that candle-lit room, a philosopher questioning, a seeker pausing, a writer tracing words anew. He listens to their whispers as they untangle strands that once seemed knotted beyond hope. From shared reflection, acceptance blossoms. Certainty is not found by closing the circle, but by stepping gently beyond it. The paradox no longer feels like a prison, but a silent invitation. In the space between reason and assumption, Eli discovers a calm place to dwell, a space where questions and acceptance weave a quiet harmony, soft as moonlight filtering through stained glass. Leaving behind frantic grasping, Eli learns to sit softly with uncertainty. The spirals that once trapped him now open like petals in a slow dawn. He realizes that some truths do not demand conquest, but gentle companionship, that strength lies not in tight closure, but in patient openness. The paradox of the circular argument remains, not as a foe, but as a quiet companion teaching restraint and humility. In the stillness of that moment, the spiral unfolds, not a trap, but a dance inviting him to glide beyond mere repetition, toward a horizon shaped by gentle questioning and silent wonder. So as your mind drifts toward sleep, tracing subtle spirals across the quiet night, consider this. What do you believe simply because you have always believed it? Which arguments wind softly through your thoughts, their comfort mistaken for clarity? If the only proof you hold is the very idea you seek to prove, is that conviction or an illusion spun quietly in the shadows? This paradox invites you to listen closely, not for answers, but for the spaces between, where meaning quietly breathes, waiting for the courage to step beyond the circle's edge.